When it comes to sales or being in sales, what is sales pitch or sales presentation equity, and why do you need to know? I'm Scott Sylvan Bell. I'm coming to you live for vlog number 19 here in San Diego, California, on a perfect day to talk about sales and a perfect day to talk about you. And so, I'll work with salespeople and I'll sit down with them and I'll say, tell me about your process, tell me what's going on. And what they've done is they've sped everything up. They've taken away elements of their presentation. And just like you put money in a bank and it grows interest, there's things that you have to do in your presentation. And as salespeople struggle, they get the whole order and the process mixed up. So I'm a huge believer that you have to have some emotional commitment in the sales process to get people to move forward and make a purchase. But as you struggle, what happens is you, and just like I've done this too, I'm gonna raise my hand, I've made this mistake, tend to want to put a lot of logic into the sales process, and it becomes like a court case. It becomes an instance where I'm just going to argue with people and hopefully that everything's going to work out and everything's going to be okay. And it doesn't typically work out that way. So like in the game plan, if you have a whole process of things that you're using, somehow you have to get the emotions out up front and then tie them to the logic on the back end, and the sales become easier. I'm not going to say that it's just going to automatically close your deal, but I am going to say it's going to make your process a lot easier for you to work with instead of trying to fight the buyer in every step of the way. And as you struggle, just like as I struggle, we start like figuring out like, how can I argue myself and how can I logic myself into closing this deal? And it just doesn't happen. So sales pitch equity, sales presentation equity is all the work that you're going to have to do on the front end. It means like you're going to have to ask the right questions. There's probably some stories that you're going to have to tell. There's probably some interactions that you're going to have with the buyer that, when you're struggling, may not feel good for you to do. And I am not ever saying lie. I'm not ever saying make stuff up. So please don't take it that way. But there's conversations that you have to have. There's things that you have to interact with at a certain level with the buyer to make it happen. So on the scale of like going in this direction with the buyer, you've got your discovery phase of what's going on. You should be asking some questions that are based around emotions and the problem that buyer has. Because later on, you can tie that emotion over here to the problem while you're having the conversation. Now, once again, that doesn't automatically mean that you're going to close the deal. It doesn't automatically mean that sale is going to be made. What it does mean is that you have put in the work and the effort to build that equity, sales pitch equity, sales presentation equity, and you've got some buy-in from the buyer. And so this is why it's really difficult when you sit down with somebody and they're like, hey, sales guy, hey, sales girl, I don't want a presentation. It's meant to throw you off balance. It's meant so that you can't build up your sales equity, your sales presentation or sales pitch equity. That's what it's meant to. It's meant to cause you a problem because they're afraid of being invested in time. Now, I work in a lot of industries where people, in home sales, where people want to get 3 bids. And, you got to remember that sometimes the brain is a completion device. And this is the way that it happens. Somebody says, you know what, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get 3 bids and I'm going to talk to people about my, I'm going to get 3 bids because I want to talk about my roof, my heating and air, my concrete, my pool, whatever thing that they're having done. And so as this process goes along, they get 1 bid and their brain's like, yes, I've got 1 thing done. They get 2 bids and they're like, okay, I'm almost done with getting 3 bids. And then they get 3 bids and their brain goes, I've completed my task of getting 3 bids. And now that those 3 bids are done, I'm just going to go with this guy who can do it for me for less. And there was really no clear set expectations of buying. And so if you've put in the sales presentation equity or the sales equity in the process, then what's going to happen is you may have a better chance of closing that deal. You have that better interaction. You have a way to talk to the buyer. You have a way to get them back on board. But if all you did was talk about price and logic, it's not going to be there. Now, I don't know what you sell. You may do in-home sales, you may not, and you may sell products, goods, services, but the same thing's going to happen. You have to have the sales presentation equity in there. You have to get all those things going so that when you're talking with your buyer, when you're interacting with them, they do have some emotional buy-in of what's going on. Now, here's the one thing that you should know how to do, and if you don't, I'm going to give you the resource for it. There's this thing called anchoring. It's fantastic. You should know how to do it. Tom Vizzini, Kim McFarland from persuasioncodes.com. They're fantastic instructors. Love Tom, love his work, and you can figure out how to anchor people and find out what they like. Like, there's things that you know that you like from a sales trainer, right? There's things that you know. And when it comes down to it, there's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, and those things are all good. You should definitely learn how to anchor and get things done. So for sales vlog number 19, sales pitch, sales presentation equity either one, either way you want to explain it, sales presentation equity, sales pitch equity, that's a good explanation for you. So you got one thing to do if you've never been to my channel, just one thing, find the subscribe button and click on it. And every time I send out a video, you're going to get an update that says Scott Bell Consultant sent out a video. You should check it out, which you should. We'll see you soon. Thanks for dropping by. Aloha.